What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. So this is your review for Queens season 1, episode 14, I believe. It is the season finale, right? So let me say this before I get into what happened in the season finale. I like the show. Now, it was a couple of ups and downs. There was a couple of shaky episodes, but ultimately, I really do like the show. I like the fact that this is episode 13. I like the fact that they dealt with some real issues. We dealt with, the misogyny in the music industry. We dealt with, sexual assault. We dealt with, sexuality. And then in this final episode, we dealt with the criminal justice system. And so I can appreciate the stories that they are telling in the midst of sisterhood and them coming back together and creating this bond. The storyline is realistic. We know that there were a lot of girl groups during that time period who, for whatever reason, imploded, exploded, whatever. I overall I like it. I don't know if they're bringing it back, but I was here for it. Part of the reason why I like this season is the way this episode opened up. We had a cipher. Now listen, I don't know who writing these ciphers. We know that Remy Ma is one of the writers for the show. But listen, the ciphers have just been fire all season. So this one is no different. We have the three ladies in a cipher, and they're basically recapping how they've grown this season, who they were at the beginning of the season versus where we are now. And I mean, Naomi's was the best. For all we know, Brandy might be writing her own shit, child. I don't know. But Naomi's was actually the best as far as the growth, because we do remember who Naomi was at the beginning of this season and where she is now, right? So the ladies, they're talking about basically staying a group. We know that they don't want to do it without Brianna, but just staying together, right? So we see Eric talking to his daughter, and he's letting her know. He shows her a ring, and he says, "Listen, I'm gonna propose to your mom." And she was like, "For real? Like, you already know what that's gonna come with, right?" Like, and he was like, "Yeah, I know." And she said, "Listen, you make her happy. As long as you keep putting a smile on her face, I'm good. Like, whatever it is whatever it is." So he takes her out for dinner that night. He's going to propose to her. And you see him nervous. He said he couldn't sleep the night before. His hands are sweaty. He was acting crazy at dinner. Naomi was like, "You were really tripping at dinner." He was like, "I know." And just as he was sitting down and getting ready to propose to her, baby girl calls, and JoJo calls, and she's upset. And they go home and come to find out she was served by a process server. Cameron wants a paternity test. Now, ultimately, she's not a minor anymore, so she doesn't have to give the paternity test. But it just shocks her because, again, she didn't know who her daddy was all this time. Now she finds her daddy. She's been bonding with this guy, and now come to find out they potentially could be somebody else. So Eric and JoJo are kind of looking at Naomi like, "Why didn't you tell us?" And Naomi was like, "Listen, it happened once." I mean, she told the story about how it happened. It happened once, and she said, basically, in my mind, you were the father. He was like, "But that's the problem. Like, we can't go by who you wanted to be the daddy. We gotta go by who is the daddy. And if there's a potential, it just hurts because I really have been building this relationship with her, and it hurts that it possibly could be that I'm not her dad. So then we see Little Debbie Snack and Jill. She got invited to perform. It was like a small intimate gathering, and it was intimate exactly. It was 20 people there, and she was like, "This is just not my demographic. This is not what I'm used to." And she was complaining, about this is just a bunch of liberal white kids, bobbing their head politely to my music, and this is just not what I expected. Well, a couple of kids came up to her because I think they were on a college campus or something like that. So a couple of the kids that were at her concert came up to her, and they were like, "Listen, we really like your new vibe. We really like the direction that you're going in. We want to talk to you about some of our causes." And she was just kind of like, "What?" And they were like, "Oh, did you mean, do you mean what you're saying in these new rap songs, this new direction you're going in? Or is it just a ploy? Like, is it just a gimmick?" So she agrees to talk to them, and they tell her about this young man who is on death row. He's 27 years old. He's been on death row since he was 17. And he claimed it was self-defense. Come to find out that he was in the mall. Somebody approached him. He shot him. He claimed it was self-defense. find out that his lawyer was actually disbarred 5 months after his conviction because he didn't bring crucial evidence and crucial witnesses. But for whatever reason, this young man is on death row, and he's actually scheduled to be executed like within 5 days or something of this situation. Now, Lil Debbie Snack goes to visit him in jail, and they have a good conversation. And he basically tells her, "Look, I'm not expecting any miracles. Like, I lived my life, the majority of the time that I was in here waiting for somebody to come and save me. I know that's not going to happen. I'm just glad you came to visit me. I'm just glad to meet you, and maybe you can do something for the next person, because I don't think this is going to happen for me." So, Lil Debbie Snack, she leaves that meeting, and of course she's fired up. She goes on Twitter, she gets it trending, gets her friends to I want to trend tweet it, and but ultimately it trends for a while, and the governor actually reaches out to her for a meeting, but unfortunately in the meeting the governor really was just playing games. Like, he basically left her sitting there all day, and then at the end had his secretary or whoever come out and say, "Oh, the governor doesn't have time." So she gets really frustrated with it, because she was like, they're just playing me. Nobody really cares what I have to say. I can't really make any changes. I can't really do anything. And so she gets really, really frustrated with it. So now, while this is going on, we have Naomi talking to Jill, explaining about the paternity situation, and basically like, "Listen, I'm upset. JoJo's not speaking to me. I wasn't trying to hurt anybody, but at the end of the day, I don't know why he wouldn't call me. Why he wouldn't just, well, he did come to her, but she shut him down. I'm sorry. Anyway, but she's telling Jill what's going on, child. Upstairs, JoJo is talking to Little Debbie Snack, and she's explaining, that she's hurt by her mom. She's like, she lied to me. I've been sitting here getting to know this one dude, and come to find out it's another dude. And she said, it could be. And, Debbie Snack tell her, "Listen, you're a minor. You don't actually have to take the paternity test. You can just leave things the way they are." And she says, ultimately, I just need to know. Like, I don't want to hurt anybody in this process, but I need to know, right? I need to know. Valeria is outside talking to Eric, and they talking about the situation, and they talking about how, we are just a cursed group of friends. What goes up must come down. We can't never catch a break. Come to find out, Valeria done broke up with her husband because she told him she didn't want to have kids, and he wants to have children. And so she said, I didn't want him to live with any regrets or any resentment, and I didn't want to do something that I didn't want to do, and so we thought that this would be best. So I don't know. That's the one part about this that I didn't like, because I felt like, why even bring him in just to kick him out the way they did? You know what I mean? Unless now, if there's a season 2, they leave the door open for Valeria to actually really realize, listen, we're going to have to figure something out and compromise, because I really love him. Because the rest of the episode, she talks about him. She talks about missing him, and, and that fact that she really does love him. So ultimately, if there's a season 2, I don't think this is the last we've seen, but I still don't kind of like the way they just did that. I don't know. I don't like the way they sort of did that. So while that's going on, Eric gets a phone call, and come to find out, they want the nasty, bitches, aka queens, to get inducted into the hip and hop Hall of Fame. My boy Chuck D, hey, I thought we was gonna see him. I was hoping we were gonna see him, but we didn't anyway. But they said that he called, he was on the board, and he was pushing for them to be inducted next year, but because of everything that's happened this year with the re-release of their first album, and because of, the music that they come out with and all of that this would be the best year for it to happen. So the ceremony is in like 2 weeks, right? So they were like, well, we're not going to do this without Bree. So they reach out to Bree, and she's like, yeah, I'm down. I'm with it. And so, of course, once she says she's going to do it, they are all in, right? They are all in with the whole situation. Ultimately, JoJo decides that she does want to get the DNA test. She said, at the end of the day, I just need to know. Like, I don't want anything I really don't want anything to change per se, but I do need to know. It's not personal to anybody in the situation. We have this moment where Brandy goes to the little coffee house, and sings one of her songs. And the song is basically about making mistakes and wanting to be a better person and sorry that she did the things that she did. And, you know, of course, they're showing all the different things happening while that's going on. It is a great, I actually like this song. It was a pretty good song. Um, they, but when she comes home, she's able, her and JoJo have like that nonverbal moment. JoJo sleep on the couch. She goes and puts a blanket on her, and then she lays down on the floor next to JoJo, and JoJo reaches out to her. So that lets you know that her and JoJo are back in a better place. Like I said, JoJo wasn't speaking to her, but they're back in a better space. Little Debbie Snack is frustrated, upset, and hurt that the governor sort of played her, and she's ready to like basically be done with it. And Jill is telling her, girl, listen, you got to keep going. You can't let this be the reason. Remember who you fighting for. And little Debbie Snack was like, girl, listen, you could save the drama for your mama, save the psychobabble, save all of that. I'm not here for it. I'm not doing it. Leave me alone. It's basically what she's saying. And she sort of gets a little mean with Jill about, we not friends, you looking out for me and I didn't ask you to, leave me alone kind of thing. We find out that Bree didn't come after all. She said she got to the airport and she just couldn't make it happen. And so now they have to figure out who they're going to get to perform with them to take up that fourth slot. And pretty much everybody in hip hop has asked to do it. Cardi and Missy and, Lauryn Hill even. Although she probably would have never showed up because she'd have been 10 hours late. But it don't matter. But ultimately, Jill was like, listen, we're all about family. Like, this whole situation, this whole journey has been about family. And at the end of the day, what we need to do is we need to bring it back to our family. And I think this position, this fourth slot, should be open to family. And come to find out that they actually asked little Debbie Snack to do it, right? And they allow her, and Bree actually sends a message, at the ceremony. Bree actually sends a, recorded message, talking about who they were, how special it was, all that good stuff. So, they perform, but before they perform, they allow, little Debbie Snack to come out and talk about the young man on death row. They allow her to give her moment, and she tells them, listen, flood the governor. This is not, what in the world, all that. But they, flood the governor's office and all that good stuff. And then they perform, and they gave a great performance. Like, again, this show they gave a great performance. I really appreciate that, right? Remy Ma did the introduction, so we saw her come back, and she did her introduction. Now, while they were on stage, JoJo gets the test results back, and Cameron is not her daddy. So, of course, everybody's good and happy, and, they all hugged up. And, after the performance, they go into the dressing room, and everybody is happy, and Eric ends up proposing to Naomi. Now, I thought that was going to be the cliffhanger, right? I said they're going to leave us hanging, right? That's it till next season. We don't know whether she said yes or no. But they did go ahead and wrap this up in a little bow for us. Next thing you know, we are at the wedding, and it was a beautiful wedding. They gave their vows to each other were really nice about growth and love and being better people and not being the people that they were and hurting each other but wanting to do better. It was great. It was a really, really, really great wedding and everything. So after the wedding, they're sitting around talking. And Valeria has been, her tour has been doing well. It's selling out. But once again, she talks about how it's not the same, not being able to come off stage and hug her sisters, and how, she's lonely at night, that kind of thing. So again, I think they're leaving the back door open for old boy, which I would like. I really would like. Little Debbie Snack got into college. She is going to actually go to college and get this law degree. She's really been inspired. She said that her essay was about what happened with the young man, and it sounds like he was killed. He was killed. It sounds like he was executed, because she said the execution of So it doesn't sound like they were able to save him, but I feel like that's kind of what he said when she went to visit him in jail was, listen, I nobody can save me, but maybe you could do something for the next person who's sitting in my seat. And so I feel like maybe that was a little bit of foreshadowing, but I didn't like that. I didn't like that he wasn't saved, but that is our criminal justice system, and unfortunately, that's a reality. That's a real thing. Um, then um, they're talking about Bree, basically, opening up the door and alluding to Bree, coming back. Again, we know why Bree left the show, you know. And that was pretty much, we found out that Jill is basically become management. She's signing a lot of the new talent to the label and she's being their manager. So she's sort of moved into like that management role. So everything, it looks like, again, tied up in a nice little bow for the end of the season. I honestly haven't looked up whether it was renewed or not. If it wasn't renewed, we have a happy ending, right? Other than Brianna not coming back. But we saw her at the Hall of Fame thing, and we know that she didn't die, so that was good. If it does come back for season 2, I feel like they've opened up the doors for some great storylines, right? Anyway, let me know what y'all think. Drop it in the comments. Peace.